The entry is a cool entry. It really goes back to what is this house going to look like? Because part of the certification that we went for, the living building certification, is you build a house that's going to last 200 years, not a house that's going to last 40 and then we tear it down and build new.
So how do we experience the comfort of the geothermal system? We love the way it works with the radiant floor heating. Once we're into the real cold season, we switch everything over to the radiant floor heating component of the system, which means there's no air moving around the house. Once you bring it up to 70 degrees, it just stays there for the whole winter. So it's a very consistent, stable environment in here, and there's no noise or drafts or anything from air being blown around. And we just love that part. It's quiet. It's just quiet, kind of like right now. You just hear the ticking of the clock.
One of the secrets is the way the house is built as a very tight thermal envelope and very heavily insulated. For example, last week when we turned it on, the house felt much better within 10 minutes, and it felt great within 15 minutes.
We are really about being good stewards of the environment. This whole project is about that, and building a home that will be standing 200 years from now, being used by multiple generations, and being viewed by literally thousands of people as an example of how to do green building. It's kind of like, of course, we would have a geothermal system at 400% efficiency compared to the high efficiency gas-fired furnaces available today at what, 96, 97% efficient versus 400% efficient, and also not at all dependent on fossil fuels. That's foundational to the whole thing and why we feel so comfortable with the geothermal system. It is the next technology for heating our homes, and if you live in the South, for cooling your homes in the future. And so the thing that really makes us comfortable is knowing that it's also good for the environment, that we get to be good stewards in that little way, kind of build a better world.
So let's go on to the second part of HITS then, the I, or insulation. Heat pumps first, insulation second. The results for insulation is we cut our carbon footprint about 16%, or about 7 tons per year. We saved about $3,000 per year. The net investment was only about $1,000. That was me going to Home Depot and buying fiberglass insulation and just pushing it into the ceiling of the basement of my house. It only took about less than a year to pay for itself. That's a great return on investment, over 100%. I don't know about you, but I sure wish I could invest my 401k in insulation. Much better returns than I could ever get in the stock market or in bond investing. Very quickly, insulation comes in 3 main types. You can see on the left there, blown-in cellulose. This is essentially shredded newspaper that is blown in through a sort of cannon-type device into the attic above your ceiling, and you can see it there just settling onto the floor of the attic, and it's probably about 12 inches deep. That's very easy to do in an open attic. In the middle, you see standard Owens Corning pink fiberglass. I'm sure you've seen this all over the place. Both cellulose and fiberglass have about R3 per inch. R is how you measure insulation. R3 is pretty good. R5 is what you can see on the right, R5 per inch, or a better level of insulation from sprayed-in spray foam insulation, which is rigid enough when it dries to hold itself in between the rafters of the roof, and so it's on the sloped parts of the roof, whereas the fiberglass and the blown-in cellulose are more commonly found on the floor. So let me just show you what we did on our house. On the left there is our roof. We have a flat roof, and when the roof was taken off to put the solar panels on, or before we put the solar panels on, you can see the 10 inches of pink fiberglass in between the rafters there, and then we added those ISO boards, which are basically spray foam insulation just in an existing sheet. So you don't spray it in, you just buy the sheets and tack it into place. That gives us a roof insulation value of R50, which is very good. There's two layers of the ISO board on top of 10 inches of fiberglass. And then on the picture on the right, you can see the ceiling of our basement, which I insulated with the fiberglass I just bought from Home Depot and just pushed in between the gaps between the rafters and held it in place with steel wires. Very easy to do and really a very, very good return on investment. If you want to do insulation and you live in Massachusetts, there is an almost free program called MassSave. You can just look them up on Google. They will pay 75% of the cost of insulating your home up to $2,000. This is a very, very, very good deal. The installation will save you tons of money going forward, and the cost is heavily subsidized by the state government. Most states have similar programs. If you don't live in Massachusetts, I recommend you go to the DSIRE, D-S-I-R-E database, which stands for the Database for Incentives for, I think, State Renewable Energy or something like that. There's a listing there by state of all the different incentive programs. But in Massachusetts, it is 75% of the cost, up to $2,000, paid for by the government. It is the lowest hanging, ripest fruit in the garden, so please pick it. This is a picture of my peaches. I grow peaches in an orchard, and you can see these are being weighed down. The branches are weighed down by the weight of the peaches, almost to the grass here. So this is the lowest hanging, ripest fruit, and definitely the best thing. The first thing you should do is call MassSave and have them pay to insulate your house for you. For details on which type of insulation, what to put where, how much of it, and which subsidies to get, please see the book Zero Carbon Home, which, as I said, you'll be getting for free at the end of this presentation.